All right. Thanks so much for being on this podcast. I appreciate it. My first question that I have for you is, just tell the audience a little bit about your background and how you got started. And yeah, we'll go from there.
So I'm Maria Gallucci, and my background is I'm a CODA, so I'm a child of deaf adults. And so I was raised with ASL as my first language. And I was raised with deaf or to both deaf parents.
Mm-hmm. What was that? What was that experience like growing up at Coda and all that stuff?
I think it was very enlightening and in my opinion, because I think we were more inclusive, and because I saw my parents struggle through being isolated or feeling not that they didn't belong and that they were different. So I think that being raised with deaf parents gave me a sense of compassion and empathy towards people who could be different.
Mm-hmm. And, how does that sort of translate that to your work now? What are you doing nowadays, given, how you grew up? Are you using that as part of in your career that you're doing now, or is it something totally different?
No, I am. So I'm a real estate agent, and most of my clients are deaf or hard of hearing. So it's easy for me I've been in the real estate business for 33 years. And so for me, I specialize in that field because I'm fluent in AASL, so it makes them feel more comfortable and more included in the process of buying a home or selling a home because they don't feel left out or they don't understand the documents because I'm fluent, so I'm able to sign to them and when I have to sell or help them buy a home.
Mm-hmm. And how do you sort of you know, how do you sort of, help people, who are deaf, who are trying to buy and sell a home? What's that sort of process like? Because you have, experience, so how do you sort of help them through that, I guess?
So I think it's communication. So I think it just bridges the gap between the deaf and hard of hearing world and the hearing world because I'm able to communicate with them in their language in ASL. And so, and I know the deaf culture. So like if you buy a home, it needs to be deaf friendly. So we always have like the kitchen needs to be like open to the living room or the dining room so they can communicate back and forth through the house. So I think having an agent who knows ASL and knows their culture and the way they communicate is key.
Mm-hmm. And let's unpack that a little bit. Like, how do you make sure that when someone is trying to buy and sell a home, how do you make sure that they're deaf friendly?
We go so a deaf friendly house is means that the kitchen is open to like the living room or dining room. So if they're having family dinners and someone's cooking, they can actually see each other through the living room or the dining room to connect and communicate through
Mm.
sign language.
Oh, that's interesting. It's pretty cool. So like what have you learned in doing this kind of work?
So I think I've learned to be patient and understanding and just to have empathy for people who have a communication barrier or feel like they're being isolated or left out. So I think it just gave me a sense of having a big heart and just wanting to help people who feel isolated.
Hmm. I know that you said that you're in the real estate business helping out pe people who are deaf or hard of hearing, but are you doing anything outside of that space? Are you involved in community events? Are you what's that sort of like?
Yes, I'm a huge advocate and a huge sponsor for the community for the my son is gay as well, so I'm with the LGBTQ plus community and the deaf and hard of hearing community. So I think that both of the communities go hand in hand because they just want to feel included and be their authentic self. So I'm on the board of three different deaf and hard of hearing boards and an ally for the LGBTQ plus community. So I do lots of sponsorships and lots of like events for both communities.
Hmm. What has it been like to, like doing, events both with both those communities? What's that experience been like?
It's been great because I feel like I have a sense of giving and and sense of helping the community, and that's what's dear to my heart is just to have people feel special, have them feel seen and heard. And that's why I wrote the book, Raised in Silence, is to just to raise awareness to people to know that nothing has to be perfect, but if you just try, it's a beginning to something.
Oh, that's an interesting book. Could you talk a little bit about the book and what inspired you to write it?
So I think watching my parents struggle throughout their life of not belonging. And I always made it a mission for myself, even since I was a kid, to never make anybody feel left out or isolated or that they didn't belong. And so I wrote the book, and the book has tips in it. It's got humor. It has after at the end of every chapter, it'll have tips um, and thing and ways you can make people feel like they belong and that they're not different.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yes.
My next question is there anything that's on your bucket list that you're like, I want to do this, learn more about this or do this a little bit more?
I think my bucket list would be just to try to get the world just to love each other, which I know is a huge huge thing, but because
Hmm.
love is love, so that would be amazing if I could even get just a few people to just try and know that everything is good and we're all just trying to get through life the same way.
Hmm. And finally, last question to wrap this up is, what sorts of tips, advice would you give to those that are wanting to um work with the real estate with not with the real estate, with the deaf and hard of hearing community in the real estate realm? Because we talked about that in the beginning, but just to circle back.
Yeah, I think that if if you meet anybody who's deaf or hard of hearing, you can always pull out your phone and just write notes to them and just show it to them, and that's how you can communicate. Because just because they're deaf or hard of hearing and you don't know AASL, there's a lot of other ways to communicate with them.
What about in terms of like working like in certain boards and stuff? Because you're in boards not just for the deaf and hard of hearing community, but with the LGBTQ plus community. So how can they be involved in things like that?
I think that the more people we get to be involved in in these different communities, the more we're going to spread awareness, and the more I think that we're going to help a lot of people feel like they belong. So I think that if anybody has an opportunity to be on any boards, whether it's the LGBT plus community, even just going to some of their events makes you feel like you can belong.
All righty. Okay. All right.